Jimmy to the Panthers for Darnold, and a fifth. Dieter Kurtenbach on Twitter. I saw this one today. You and I both enjoyed this. So I texted someone in the league I trust about a hypothetical Darnold for Garoppolo trade and was told, you're an idiot. But he likes it. Now, you don't think it's crazy either, or we were talking about earlier, and we were both like, not insane. The money, though, makes it pretty difficult.
But this is what I'm saying. What they're not doing, you keep saying they're not doing anything with the money, so who cares? Like, if they're not doing anything with the money, why wouldn't you just, you're just gonna let it be empty? You're just not gonna spend the money? Like, here, because I'm behind this.
You're behind paying Sam Darnold $19 million to be your backup quarterback, just in case you could turn him into something else.
Well, again, I was behind cutting Jimmy to go sign Chandler Jones, or to go trade my second-round pick to go get like some $10 million sweet player. But if they're not going to do that, which it does not feel like they're going to do, you can't keep Jimmy as your backup, right? If Jimmy stays, I believe he starts. And if the Panthers,
you can't keep him for $27 million. You could, yeah, agreed.
And you cannot restructure because you can't move money. This is it. The contract is the contract. You either play with him or cut him or trade him. You can't do some like get his number down, push money back. That is not an option to me. If you do that, I'm fucking crushing you because that's stupidity. I can't even see them doing that. Right? Push money back to further years to get the number. That's insane. Will you agree?
Yes.
But, like, Jimmy's value is his value. And maybe the Panthers just want to get a credible starting quarterback, and they could also draft a guy. I saw Ben McAdoo, who I saw Albert Breer tweeted, and I flipped on the channel today, NFL Network, they had Kenny Pickett's pro day. He looks like a defensive tackle. He looks completely different than he did a couple of years ago. But maybe he wants to get a real starting quarterback who has started games, and then they could also draft Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, whatever. And Jimmy's a true bridge because they just think Sam Darnold sucks. Well, the 49ers were interested in Sam Darnold last year. And, I mean, so was I. So were you. A lot of people were intrigued. This year did not go well. Now, not sure Matt Rule has any clue what he's doing. Joe Brady got fired, and is not even an offensive coordinator anymore. He's a quarterback coach. It might have just been a terrible situation. Not defending Sam. Watched him enough. Makes Jameis look like a smart quarterback sometimes. Like, he does some glaring things. But what if you get a little project? Again, don't love the number. And because it's a fifth-year option, it's not like you can't cut that thing in half. Like, the number's the number.
Yeah, like as Brandon says, Darnold's $18 million is guaranteed right now. Jimmy's is not, right?
It isn't. So you're stuck with it. But I do think, what if the money doesn't matter to you unless you plan on using that for someone else. And maybe Parag and Kyle and John would say, well, what if 4 or 5 weeks in, if we had cut Jimmy or moved on, something happens, a player becomes available, and we can get aggressive to go get that guy because we have the cap space. And again, these are all these hypotheticals that are like, I don't know.
I think it makes less sense for the Panthers.
Well, they don't want to play with Sam Darnold, right?
Right.
So Jimmy just gives them a credible guy that knows what he's doing. Again, I'm putting myself in their shoes. I'm with you. I don't know if it makes much sense either. But I guess the point of this more is like, I would be intrigued by Sam Darnold and be okay with just like, whatever. Pay the guy. He's getting his $18 million somewhere. Just like, let's get a project. And then maybe after the year, we bring him back on like a 2-year, $10 million deal. He's Trey's backup. We utilize him to ultimately flip. And the value we lost in Jimmy, we get back big picture through him. Like, think big. What Roseman said, we're a quarterback factory. We just like quarterbacks. Just get quarterbacks. Now, it's Minshew's $1 million, right? Jalen Hurts costs nothing. $18 million, 18.9, I mean, 19 is a lot of money. But is Sudfeld just going to be your backup quarterback? Like, there's no upside there. Like, you could resurrect Sam.
Maybe.
It might not.
We thought that about Josh Rosen once.
It was clear. Like, I think Sam's
he'd been further along. Yeah, he'd been on more teams. Yeah. But I also think the other part of this,
I think it would register enough to like, let's sit down and have a conversation over this.
Yeah, I mean,
they're interested.
The other part of it is the Niners, clearly a big deal to them is what is value, right? So whether they're using the money or not, I think we've seen enough of the way they operate that they would not invest $18.9 million in Sam Darnold if they weren't confident, they could in return then in a year or two trade him for a 3rd-round pick or rehabilitate him and make him their backup for the next 10 years, something like that, right? Yeah. So even though you're right, like if you're not using the money, what are we doing? I think they view it like, well, is Sam Darnold a $19 million backup? Is acquiring Sam Darnold for $19 million more valuable than maybe trading Jimmy in a month for a 3rd-round pick? Maybe not. A 4th-round pick and getting all that money out of here, right? Like I think they are very value conscious,
and that's starting to bother me a little bit. Honestly, I just think with the rookie quarterback, that is, you might be able to get away with it this year. That will not be tolerated next year. That'd be embarrassing, honestly. As you're seeing around the league, no one operates like that. The fucking Chargers, whose owner is notoriously cheap, they were slinging it around. It's your only advantage. Like they did lose out a little bit on a year with Trey Lance by holding. Like you said, there's no clue. They might not have done this, but there were some impact guys available that they refused to do because of this situation, because of the value. Like, listen, you can operate like Farhan, and maybe every once in a while you get lightning in a bottle like last year, and then eventually you come back to earth and win 84 games, and the Dodgers win 104 again. Here's what I know. Rams are winning 12, 13 games. Know that for a fact. I'd bet $5,000 on that right now that they will win double-digit games. The Niners, you and I were talking before we even hopped on. We're like, are we sure they're going to be?
I'm not convinced. They got like one offensive lineman right now.
I think aggression is winning in this league because you've never had more cash. You get the signing bonuses, these fucking fuck them picks. But the rookie quarterback, like I get sometimes you can be in a pinch, right? The Falcons, they've been in a tough spot because they were paying Julio and Matt Ryan so much money. Niners, they have a $6 million quarterback. So, it feels like they're just obsessed with this value thing. Listen, I'm all for value, but there also is you need good players.
Right.
And you could argue, is there value in just having 2 quarterbacks? Jimmy be the backup quarterback? Well, he just cut his head.
Well, you'd have to cut him and then re-sign him, Fletcher Cox style, for him to be the backup quarterback.
Or I think maybe you go.
Are you talking about the Panthers?
I'm talking about the Niners. What if you go to Jimmy and you go, it's pretty clear no one's giving you any money right now.
Right.
We will redo your deal, and we'll guarantee every penny. You'll play for $10 million.
How about this?
Is anyone giving him $10 million today? Probably not, right?
Well, who?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe would the Saints be like, okay, or not the Saints, the Falcons? Would the Falcons say, yeah, we're paying?
They don't have any money.
What's Mariota's money?
I didn't see it, but I don't think it's out. But it's
the Steelers. Just pick a team that's the Steelers. Then okay,
no,
they're paying
because
Mitchell.
They already got Mitchell.
For what's he costing them this year? Like $7 million. You said would anybody pay him 10? I'm saying would the Steelers say we actually like Jimmy Moore? We're only paying Mitchell 7. We'll pay him $17 million for a quarterback. It's still pretty cheap combined amount.
But you could just go to Don Yee and be like, listen, here's what we want. You can shop around, and you can let them know we'll cut you if you get more. Let me know what you get. And I can easily call the team and find out.
I'm just answering your hypothetical. Would someone offer him 10? To me, I don't think it's outrageous that somebody with a cheap quarterback right now would give him $10 million to all, and Jimmy would go, well, if I go to Pittsburgh, I could beat out Mitchell Trubisky.
I think it's unlikely.
$10 million is just so cheap for a quarterback.
But all these teams now have just $10 million guys.
Yeah, but I think teams will sign a $10 million guy to beat out a $10 million guy. They're not going to sign a $27 million.
How often does that happen, though?
I think
Jimmy doesn't.
Often, I don't know how often, but to me, Jimmy Garoppolo is not available for $10 million that often either. $10 million gets you Andy Dalton, who's not as good as Jimmy Garoppolo. Or at least he wasn't last year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. He's got to get healthy. But I'm just saying, to me, it would not be out of the realm of possibility that Jimmy could find a $10 million contract somewhere.
But this is...
Hell, Miami might give him 10.
But see, you can wait till after the draft. You got even more leverage.
Sure.
So once the Steelers we got Malik Willis, we don't need. We got our guys, right? Some of these other teams will have the 2 or 3 have the rookie quarterback, and then they wouldn't even entertain that. So maybe the Niners know we wait them out. We can get them to take a huge pay cut, because then they're really stuck. That's where they would be stuck. 4 teams add quarterbacks in the top 3 rounds that would have been interested in that scenario are now out.
Right.
And now
agree with that.
you either force him to take a pay cut / something catastrophic happens, which I still feel is a very, very. I feel something catastrophic happening to a quarterback in training camp was even less likely than them getting some sweet compensation for Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he wouldn't restructure. He would say, "Cut me. I'll see what I can get. What's your offer? Can I find a better offer somewhere? You're going to pay me $10 million."
I think you let him. You go shopping around. I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, he might take less to go somewhere else for all we know, right? But if I were him, I'd go, well, I don't. They're telling me I'm not the starting quarterback, but why can't I be the starting quarterback?
Yeah, and what if Kyle's like, I kind of like you more than the other guy right now.
Josh says Fox will give him $10 million to announce games. He could probably get more than 10.